All the kids got out of school at 11:30. It was April Fool's Day plus Good Friday.
8-year-old April Tinsley is excited to play with her friend down the street.
I walked her to the alley where I could see her crossing. She turned around and waved at me.
April's mother, Janet, tells her to be home by supper time.
April's supposed to come home between 3:30 and 4 o'clock. She didn't come home, so I called up there. Nicole's mom asked Nicole if April's still playing, and she goes, no, she was supposed to go home. You're out there yelling for April, and all of a sudden it was like panic mode.
April Tinsley vanishes.
This was kind of a gloomy, rainy day. Fort Wayne Police Department began doing a canvass and a search. They were assisted by the K-9 Division, the Mounted Patrol. We still had a horseback division. In 1988, we don't have the internet, we don't have cell phones, Amber Alerts aren't going out. It was significantly different. It was newspaper, radio, and television.
The case of the missing girl makes local headlines.
A jogger in DeKalb County, which is the county directly north of Allen County where Fort Wayne is located. Jogging down County Road 68, he happens to look over into a ditch near the roadway, and he sees a young girl deceased. Police responded to the scene of the ditch on County Road 68 and immediately began processing the crime scene, looking for clues, trying to figure out who the young girl is.
The body was not far off of the roadway. It didn't appear that the killer was trying to hide her body. Law enforcement immediately ruled it was a homicide.
She was discovered wearing the same clothes that April had been reported missing in, and it's identified as April Tinsley.
Investigators discover the killer had taken off April's clothes and put them back on.
She only had one shoe on. Law enforcement decided that this was a key piece of evidence and kept it very guarded.
A few hundred yards down the road, on the opposite side of the road from where she was found, was her other shoe.
Investigators suspect the shoe was tossed there.
There was not much there for police to go on other than the body and the shoe that had been located down the road.
April's body was removed from the scene and taken to the forensic center where an autopsy was conducted. She had been sexually assaulted, and that the cause of death was suffocation by strangulation.
In 1988, DNA technology was very new to law enforcement.
There was a DNA sample taken from her underwear that was preserved. After a year, things slowed down.
With no new leads, the case of April Tinsley goes as cold as a Midwest winter.
Police get a report of writing on a barn. This barn is located in northeast Fort Wayne on Schwartz Road.
On the barn, they discovered a message that mentioned April Tinsley.
The message read, "I killed 8-year-old April Marie Tinsley. I will kill again."
The FBI felt that the individual who authored this note was possibly trying to disguise their handwriting or mislead law enforcement. A young girl in the Fort Wayne area was out playing. She was at her bicycle and discovered a note in the basket of her bicycle. Law enforcement was called by the family member of this young girl, and the note was provided to the police department.
Very shocking.
15 days later, a second note was found on a bicycle belonging to a young girl, also very similar in age and look to April Tinsley.
The baskets contain more than just notes.
There were Polaroid pictures and used condom. They were very vulgar and graphic and sexual content. In one of his letters, he left a quote-unquote present. And that present the killer referred to was a used condom. By leaving this condom, They were providing us a very large DNA sample.
Police tried to compare any DNA from the condom to the evidence that was found on the clothing of April Tinsley at the time of her death. The DNA came back indicating that this could possibly be the suspect, but it was not 100% because at the time, DNA was still in a growing process. The question was, whose DNA is this?
Analysts run the sample through the FBI's DNA database of felons, but there's no match. Two new Fort Wayne detectives, Clint Hertrick and Brian Martin, take over the case.
With the advances in technology and the advances in science, our list of suspects had been whittled down to approximately 12 to 15 that would not provide a DNA sample to law enforcement.
Detectives hope to use new technology to rule their possible suspects in or out.
Early 2018, we began seeing media attention in reference to how genetic genealogy was used to identify the killer in the Golden State Killer case.
Detective Martin wonders if a genetic lab called Parabon might be able to use the same technique to find April's killer.
7 weeks after we submit our sample, I receive a telephone call. They said, "We got you 2 possible brothers that are your killer, and they're still alive."
Both of them were relatively close to the area, so we pulled their driver's license signatures. And one of the things we noticed was that one of the brothers' signature was very similar to the notes left on the girls' bikes.
The suspect's name is John Miller.
We decided in order to obtain his DNA, we were going to wait for trash day. That night, after his trash was placed out by the curb, we actually pulled John Miller's trash from the bin.
Going through the bags, I found a used condom. It was just amazing. As I continued to dig, I found 2 more. I found a total of 3 used condoms in the trash. This was at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I immediately drove to Indianapolis to deliver them to our DNA analyst to determine whether it was a match or was not a match. 2 days later, we got the results back.
It's a match of John Miller's DNA to our murderer's DNA from 1988.
Do you have any idea what we need to talk to you about?
I think probably the Tinsley case. That's the only one I can think of.
I kind of sat back in my seat and I was surprised that he had said her name.
What would make you say the Tinsley case?
He didn't want to come right out and tell us what happened. We had to talk to him for a while, ask him questions.
DNA.
Yeah, yep. We have DNA. When we did that DNA, we were able to narrow it down to you. You've already admitted to this by the letters and the condoms that you left for us. What'd she say when you grabbed her?
She said, "Don't hurt me. I'll do whatever you say."
Finally, it's over.
News of the arrest travels fast, and many in Fort Wayne call for the death penalty.
All it took was one kid to walk home one night without adult supervision, and that could have been victim number 2.
Janet also wants Miller put to death.
He took her life. I want his life. He don't deserve to be alive.
Despite the DNA match and the confession, Miller pleads not guilty.
They ended up reaching a plea deal. I covered a pretrial hearing, and when I saw John Miller walk in, it was chilling.
Miller avoids the death penalty, but he's sentenced to 80 years. At age 59, that's life behind bars.
I was the last person that got up there and spoke. I read my statement. I said, I want one question answered from you. I want to know why. Why her? And the first words came out of his mouth was, he was bored. When I feel down or I have a bad week, I'll come and sit on the bench and just sit here and talk to her. I'll say, April, Mama misses you more and wishes you was here. In a way, you know she's around somewhere.